And welcome back to another Mugen Masterclass. Today, we are working on the E letters. We have EnvColor, EnvShake, Explod, and it's a lot to Explod. It's a long lesson with that one. ExplodBindTime. Now, starting off with EnvShake. Turns the whole screen a solid color, excepting foreground layer animations like hit sparks and on top explods. Foreground layers of the stage will not be visible. Using our handy dandy Kung Fu Man, we are going to use standing light punch like we don't always do. And we're going to have a trigger of not time. Which again, if you didn't know, not time is the same as time equals 0. Now, I don't know what the under does. I've never seen that code. Honestly, I've never used EnvColor, but it is used by some characters for power-up effects and other flashy things. Let's see. So it turned everything white, even the hit spark. So let's try red. Let's see something. If I put this at 20, make it longer than it should be. Okay, so the hit spark does show above it. Now let's see what under does. See, it appears in the background. Now, why would you want to do this, you may wonder? Well, there are some games where you have supers where the background will turn black and you'll see the characters and things will happen. A good example of that is Last Blade 2, and I'll have a clip playing right now. And as you can see, it's pretty interesting how, you know, they hit you, the background turns black, you still see the characters and the health bars and stuff, and you attack and it just turns back to normal. It's a really nice visual effect. I've never personally used that effect, but that's one of the cool things. Next is EnvShake, causes the screen to shake vertically. And I've been using this wrong up until now, but basically the time is how long you want it to shake for. Frequency, I never knew this, but 0 is a slow shake and 180 is a fast shake. Alright, you get amplitude, which I didn't know amplitude was based off the screen resolution, -4, -8, -16. And then phase, apparently phase is always set to 0 unless the multiplier, the frequency, is 90 or greater. I never actually messed with this to that extent, but let's just test it and see how it looks. Not time. Shake for 20 ticks, and these are the default values it comes with, so we'll just do that to see how it looks. Yeah, let's make it longer, 200 ticks, so we could actually see it. That's a decent shake, yeah? Now frequency, so 180 is the fast shake. Let's see how this looks. Ooh, that's kind of freaky. Now let's try 0. I never knew these values were like this, so I'm kind of curious how this works. 0 just stuck the whole screen down at the bottom. Maybe because of this. Let's see at the phase. Nothing. Okay, let's try 45 for the phase. Maybe 0 can work for the frequency. No, it's interesting. Let me try 1. See, now I'm just curious how this is gonna affect it. Oh, it's moving. I got a slow moving. That's cool. Yeah, this is one of those things you play with. So put it back to 60. Now let's see this. This said if you are resolution of 240p, which is normal size Kung Fu Man, use -4, 480 for like a high res character like Guilty Gear, use -8, And 720 HD character use -16. So let's try a -8. And then we'll try 16 and see how that looks. It's kind of a smoother wobble. Let's try 16. It's a very vicious wobble. If I was doing like an earth attack, like boom, but that kind of makes me feel kind of queasy. Let me see what the phase now. Let's see how high does phase go. Multiple is 90 or greater. Okay, let's try a phase of 200. Let's see what this does. Honestly, I can't say I see what the difference in the phase is. Maybe someone in the comment section can explain it. I personally cannot tell the difference, but I do know if you want your move to be impactful, you would put like an 80 or like a higher number than 60. So when you hit them or hit the ground or something, like it shakes like this, and obviously it doesn't last as long as that. So that's EnvShake. Next, here's the doozy, Explod. There's a lot to go over here. The Explod control is a flexible tool for displaying animations such as sparks, dust, and other visual effects. Its functions includes that of game make anim, which is now deprecated. So all these things I will explain. There's some stuff specifically here for Mugen 1.1 that will not work in Mugen 1.0, I believe. I could be wrong. And there are some deprecated parameters which I don't feel they should have been deprecated, and some workarounds which I think are completely useless and asinine. But that's how they made it. Random should not have been removed. Anyways, standing light punch. I'm going to use a Explod. Explod has many little triggers to it. So trigger is going to be anim lm equals 3. I'm just using that because that's the example I want to use. The animation, I made an animation for this specifically. Right here, animation 201. So the animation is when I punch on frame 3, it's going to play this animation. They're going to come out of my body, stand, bow, and then go back in. So the animation is going to be 201. I like to make my ID the same as the animation number. That's me personally. Position is where you want to align them, and post type. Post type means this is where the position type is going to be. P1 means it's bound to you to start. P2 is bound to P2. Front means it's bound to the front of the player where they're facing. Back means the back of the player where they're facing. Left is the left edge top screen. I'll show you. So this is left over here. And if you go right, this is right where the close box is. This code has been deprecated. What they want us to use is space, position, and facing. They want us to use all three of these to replicate P1, and then they want to use all three of these to replicate P2. This is front, back, left, and right. I've never used these. I feel it's silly that they got rid of the most simplest thing and made it more complicated. Off the top of my head, I would never think of using enemy near pose X plus camera pose X position. I never even knew camera pose X was actual code. So that's something that seems a little crazy. Facing, where you want to facing, vertical facing. I think this is normally the regular way, and then -1 is to face the opposite direction. Bind time, how long do you want the animation to bind to you? I'll put -1 for now. Vel, this is to give the velocity. Velocity is not going to work if your bind time is -1, because your bind time will trump the velocity. Excel, it's the same thing as a velocity. It'll incrementally increase the speed of the velocity. Bind time -1 will negate that. So you know what? I'll put that to that, and I'll put the vel to 2. Random is another code that's deprecated. It basically makes the helper spawn at this axis, wherever the 0, or whatever position is. It would be, say, 10 pixels left and right, and then 10 pixels up and down. Like, this is very useful in my eyes. I'm not sure why they deprecated this code. Remove time. So we have two options here. -1 means do not remove, and then we have -2, play once, then remove. Easiest way to explain it. So right now the animation is going to come out, play, and then kill itself. Pause move time. If I want this Explod to play during a pause trigger, I would set this to a number, like whatever number I want. I normally set it to this because I want it to play like the whole time. There's also super move time, which is in case someone uses a super pause code. This would be the effective one, not the pause code, because there's pause and super pause, two different things. Again, I would use it like that. Scale, the scale I want it to be. Sprite priority. Players sprite priority 2 for attacks, so putting this at 0 will be them behind, put it behind the player. That's what I want. On top will trump sprite priority. This will be on top of everything. It'll be on top of the foreground, it'll be on top of life bars, it'll be the highest layer of sprite priority. I never like to use it. Shadow, if I want to give it a shadow, let's go with 96, 96, 96. This is red, green, blue, like always. Own pal. Own pal is useful for one thing. If you give Explod its own palette, and the character like catches fire or something, and something happens to the character and their palette changes, the Explod will not be affected. What happens is normally if your own palette is 0 and the player gets burnt, the Explod will also get burnt. So it looks weird when your Explods start catching fire or glowing or something they shouldn't be doing. So own pal. And remove on get hit, set to 1. Then we have a few extra things here. Move time, pause time. This was changed to super move. Pause move was changed to super move time. Pause move time. So that's gone. Persistent, you know that one. Ignore hit pause. This one we'll put on because what happens is the hit pause will stun the enemy, and then this would spawn. But with this, they spawn at the same time. Trans, if I want to make it transparent. So for this, for the first example, I had no. I know it's a lot to take in, and I'll simplify the whole thing. So here's light punch. See the vel set's sending him forward. So now I'll put the vel away, and for the excel, I'll do a 0.1 because excel will consistently add velocity to that animation. Now if I zoom out, you'll see him just keep going faster and faster. Alright, so now the way random works, right? I'm gonna put 50, 50, right? So he'll appear like a random spot around me. It's kind of cool, huh? Now for laughs, I'm just gonna set this to constant. So he's just gonna keep spawning a bunch of Kung Fu Man helpers. Which is kind of pretty cool, huh? Like, I don't know why they removed random. Like, you could do awesome things like this with random. Like, that's crazy looking. Let's see. Okay, remove on get hits. So, what does remove on get hit do? Since Explods are essentially effects, like, they are not hittable at all. Like, even if I put a hitbox on him, which let me do quickly just so you can see it. See, even then, I have a hitbox on him. As an Explod, he has no hitbox because these guys cannot, they can't be hit. They're not controllable in any way. You'd want a helper for something like that, which we'll get to eventually. I'm dreading that H topic, but that's how an Explod works. So with the remove on get hit, if the parent or the root gets hit, it just goes away. Oh yeah, hold on. My key bindings are there. Okay. So instead of going back, it'll just end. And this is what you want for certain effects. You don't want to have your effect lingering after you get hit from an attack. So remove on get hit is very important to have. And then the last thing is down here is trans. We can do add, which you may have seen in the after image thing. So that's add one. Which kind of looks like a cool little weird after image thing. And then we have sub. Which is like a cool negative Kung Fu Man. And there's also add alpha. And then you have to specify an alpha color. It works by honestly, I'm not sure how these values work. I think this is the lighter colors, this is the darker colors. I'm not fully sure what the words are for them. Wow, look at that. It's a more transparent Kung Fu Man. That's actually really kind of cool. I didn't know I can do that. Okay. So now, lots of mumbo jumbo, right? Oh, you know what? I'll remove the mumbo jumbo and give you the bare bones Explod. And then I'll show you the other additional Explod codes that 1.1 uses that are in the docs. So let's see, we don't need the on top, we don't need the shadow, we don't need the ignore, trans and alpha. So this is pretty much what your basic Explod can look like and have the most essential things to it. Now, looking here, what else do we have? We have space, which tells you what kind of space the Explod should be created in. Screen space is relative to the entire window. Stage space is relative to the player. Bind ID. I've never used bind ID, but it's basically to bind to a player, I guess. Scale angle. All right, let's try angle. Oh, see? Why am I spelling it wrong? A-N-G-L-E. That's interesting. I type angle, but it won't work. Let's try Y angle. No. X angle? Let's see if angle will work anyways. 45 degrees, right? Okay, so it does work. I guess Fighter Factory 3 doesn't like it, but maybe Fighter Factory Studio would like it. But pretty much, you know, rotate him 45 degrees. Let's see. Okay, let's try a Y angle. Okay, so he scales, not sure how that scales 45 degrees to the Y. He is kind of slanted in the feet. You know, it's actually interesting. He looks like he has depth to him. Wait, let's see something. 90 degrees. He might be like flat with this. Let's find out if it works. He's flat. So this is interesting. The Y angle actually gives them a kind of depth, which I never knew this is even a thing. Interesting. Let's try the X angle. I'm curious what the X angle would do. Again, it has a kind of depth to it. It's bigger at the bottom and it's smaller at the top, like a triangle. That is very interesting. Let's try both together. That's really interesting. Of course, it doesn't look good on Kung Fu Man, but if you use it on like an effect, you may have an interesting, different effect, you know? Going here, we have a remap pal, and the reason I used Kung Fu Man for this example was for remap pal. That's the reason why I used that. So, alright, so remap pal, guys, spelled it correct. Now, I want, since my player is blue, right, I want the Explod to come out as the yellow Kung Fu Man. In his palette file here on the right side, the group is 1, index is 3, so for that, 1 and 3. So now it should be the yellow Kung Fu Man that comes out when I do that. There you go. That's kind of cool, huh? Trans I went over, these weird things here. Does it move? Yeah, that's pretty much it for Explod. But at the bare minimum, like, your Explod should look like this. This is what it should look like. It gives you all the things you need to do, and it just works. Next code is a ExplodBindTime. It changes the position binding time for the player's Explod. So now I'm gonna set the bind time to -1. So light punch will make it bind to -1 to me permanently, and I gotta use a different animation actually. So I'm just gonna use let's see, taunt. Okay, 190. Actually no, let's use the wood, the good old wood. Oh, it's been like crazy. Yay. Okay, 191. So 191. I like to change the ID to match, and this is going to be in front of me by 50 pixels, right? And the bind time is -1. So now I do low kick. My Explod bind time is going to change. So what was my ID? 191, matched up with my animation. My bind time is going to be now, let's go with 1. So it should essentially stop binding when I do the kick. So low punch. Oh, you know what? I goofed. Remove time -1. I don't want it to remove after it finishes playing, so it'll bind to me forever. Okay, got that. Nice. And look at that. The bind time set it to 1, so now it's stopped binding pretty much. Of course, it's being repositioned because the bind time's changing. It's rebinding for that split second. That's why it's doing that. I've never used this, honestly. I've always just guessed the bind time until it came out correct. That's what I normally do. One thing I will show you as an additional is a super background, right? This is a special one. So I made an animation. I have an animation here. 8015, right? This is the animation, and this is the sprites, right? So 8015, right? So I want this to appear behind me, and I want it to, like, you know, be a super background. So when I do it, but the problem is it's stuck in like a weird place. So my pose type has to be left or right. I think left can work. But see, now, like, the scaling is way off, right? So I need to scale it, but I don't want to, like, guesstimate the scale and then get it wrong and have to try and try. A way you can do this for super backgrounds is, I believe it's game width divided by the length and width of this here. Game height 480. And now this should scale it to match the background. See, I got both sides. When I walk away and zoom out though, it will kind of, wow, look at that, it actually works. That's pretty cool. I figured the scaling of the stage would mess it up, but it isn't. Nice. And if I go on the other side, Look at that, ain't that pretty? And that's it. E is all done. Stay tuned for more.